I used to work night security for a private logistics company in rural Pennsylvania. The facility wasn't anything fancy, just a couple of massive warehouses surrounded by chain-link fences, floodlights, and a long empty stretch of road leading in from the main highway. It was one of those jobs you take when you need peace and quiet, or at least, that's what I thought. My shift started at 10 p.m. and ended at 6 in the morning. I was usually alone, except for one other guard, a guy named Phil, who worked in the second building about half a mile away. We'd radio each other once in a while just to stay awake. The company had 6 buildings on site, but only 2 were active. The rest were storage, cold, silent, and supposedly empty. One of them was Building 47. It stood at the far end of the lot, surrounded by tall weeds and rusted shipping containers. Nobody went in there. It had been locked for years after some chemical storage incident that apparently made part of the floor unsafe. Still, every building had a functioning camera system, and one of my nightly routines was to check all of them from the security office monitor. That's where things started getting strange. It was around 2:30 a.m. one night when I noticed motion alerts popping up from Building 47's feed. I assumed it was a glitch, wind, bugs, or maybe a stray raccoon. But when I pulled up the live camera, I saw the motion had triggered inside the building. The footage was grainy, and the lights were supposed to be off, but I could make out faint movement near the back hallway, like someone walking slowly past the lens. Only thing was, the figure wasn't shaped right. It looked too tall, too thin, and it moved in a way that made my skin crawl. Not fast. Just deliberate. I radioed Phil, asked if he'd seen anything weird on his end. He laughed it off. "Man, you're watching too much late-night TV. That building's sealed." I laughed too, but I couldn't stop staring at that screen. The motion alert blinked again, and now the camera had shifted angles, like someone had actually touched it. That shouldn't have been possible. By the next night, I convinced myself it was some camera lag or old system bug. But curiosity got me, I wanted to check it out myself. Around 3 a.m., I grabbed my flashlight, radio, and master keycard, and drove down to Building 47 in the company pickup. The floodlights barely reached that far. The building looked darker than I remembered, windows boarded up, metal door coated with dust and warning stickers. When I swiped my card, the reader beeped red first, then green. Door unlocked. Inside, it was cold, unnaturally cold. My breath fogged in front of me. The air smelled metallic, like wet rust. I swept my flashlight around. Rows of empty shelves, old forklifts, and a long corridor leading to the back. Everything silent except for the faint hum of the power lines outside. Then I heard it, footsteps. Not mine. Somewhere ahead of me, soft but clear, like someone pacing slowly back and forth. I froze. "Phil, you copy?" I whispered into my radio. Static. I stepped forward, one careful step at a time. The footsteps stopped. When I turned my light toward the far end of the corridor, I swear, for a split second, I saw a shadow pull back around the corner. That's when every light in the hallway flickered once, then turned on. The motion sensor lights hadn't worked in years. I'd seen that in the maintenance reports. But now, one by one, they flicked on, leading down the corridor, as if something was walking ahead of me, triggering them in order. My radio crackled suddenly. It was Phil. But his voice sounded faint, distorted, like he was underwater. "All good, Building 47. I tried to reply, but the signal cut off. Then I heard a door slam somewhere in the back. I ran. I didn't think, I just sprinted out of that building, slammed the metal door shut, and drove back to the security office. As fast as I could. When I checked the surveillance feed again, the cameras in Building 47 were back to normal. No motion alerts, no lights on, nothing. But there was one new file saved automatically in the system, footage from the time I was inside. I opened it. The first minute showed me entering with my flashlight. The next few seconds showed me walking through the corridor. Then, something else appeared. Behind me. A faint outline. Pale. Human-shaped. But not moving like a person. More like, glitching in and out of frame. The weirdest part. When I paused the footage, the timestamp was 4:07 a.m. I'd left the building at 3:46 a.m. There was 20 minutes of footage where I wasn't visible at all, just that flickering figure standing in the hallway, facing the camera. I reported it the next morning. The company's higher-ups reviewed the footage and quietly deleted everything. They told me to forget about it, that building maintenance anomalies happen all the time. 2 weeks later, Phil stopped showing up to work. No notice, no call. They said he quit suddenly and moved states. I tried calling him, his number was disconnected. A month after that, the entire site was shut down. I drove past once before it was demolished. There were new locks on Building 47, heavy steel ones, and a government hazard sign on the fence. I never found out what was stored in there, or why they were so desperate to erase what happened. But sometimes, when I'm driving late at night and my radio cuts to static for no reason, I still hear that faint voice. All good. Building 47. And I just turn the volume down. And keep driving.